You make a firm promise to stop, rely on pure discipline, and then the system shudders and fails, leaving you exactly where you started. If this were a simple habit of the mind, conscious willpower should be enough to steer you in a different direction. The fact that the pattern repeats despite your best efforts suggests the behavior has moved beyond your conscious control. It points toward a change in the machinery underneath, where the brain has started responding to a different set of instructions. This creates a massive mismatch. You are attempting to use a temporary mental effort to overrule a constant chemical process, and these two systems operate on entirely different scales of power. To find a way out of this loop, we have to look past your character and examine the brain's chemical operating system. This chart tracks your brain's dopamine engine. Often called a pleasure chemical, dopamine is actually the chemical of pursuit, dictating what you crave. High stimulation behaviors hit this system with extreme input, creating a sharp, violent spike that pushes the system far beyond its capacity. Right in the middle of that peak, the brain experiences a state of hyper-focused motivation and intense excitement. But the system is designed for balance. After an artificial peak, your dopamine levels do not simply settle back into their original starting position. The level plunges. It crashes deep below the normal threshold, entering a deficit state where the chemical supply is effectively exhausted. This collapse is why you feel restless and unmotivated immediately after the act. The brain isn't just back to normal, it is operating in a hole. Operating in a dopamine deficit triggers a survival response. Your brain views this low state as a crisis that needs to be fixed immediately. It pushes you back toward the behavior, not because it's looking for a new high, but because it's trying to force those chemical levels back up to a tolerable baseline. This is where neuroplasticity works against you. As these spikes and crashes repeat, the brain adapts by lowering its standards. It slowly drags the baseline down, making a state of deficit your new normal. Because the floor has dropped, your brain now requires much higher intensity and constant novelty just to reach a level that used to feel average. This adaptation has a secondary effect. The brain becomes so tuned to these artificial extremes that organic, real-life experiences can no longer trigger a response. Everyday conversations feel dull. Human connection feels weak. Even basic daily tasks become exhausting, lacking the massive chemical hit your brain now expects. Your life didn't actually become boring. Your internal scale for measuring reward broke, which makes anything less than extreme stimulation feel empty. If the issue is a biological collapse, how do you restore a baseline that has been dragged so low? You shift your focus away from the cravings and toward your environment. The goal is to stop the artificial spikes from occurring in the first place. When you remove the high stimulation inputs, you stop the crashes. Without the constant volatility, the brain's dopamine baseline is finally given the time to recalibrate and rise back toward its natural center. As the baseline recovers, the internal friction you feel every day begins to fade. Focus returns, and discipline feels like a natural state. You begin to find satisfaction in the mundane again. A walk or a real conversation triggers the small, healthy dopamine releases that keep you feeling balanced and present. The intensity of that urge serves as a biological signal. It indicates that the system is currently overloaded, reacting to an environment that has kept it in a state of constant deficit. By managing your inputs and allowing that chemical baseline to recover, you don't just stop a habit,